Okay, so we are going to start our meeting. Yeah. So I will give some ideas, and if you have a question or problem with what I'm saying, you can raise your hand at any moment, and either your virtual hand or your physical hand. Okay, and there'll be a discussion. So I'm going to present some ideas. First, some, let's call it philosophical ideas, which I think should be presented quickly. Then some practical ideas, and then people that want to add some contribution in the second part about some advice they have and how they use it, share their usage. You can do it, huh? So it'll be in two parts. First, I'll be the main one proposing ideas, and the second part where people can propose ideas as well. All right. But first, I wanted to bring some, bring some a couple of philosophical ideas, which seems important because I know that some people either have prevention against the AI. I don't know if they come today, those people, but just in case some people still have preventions about it. And others, even though they use it, have doubts, have problems. And I know some people from discussing have certain issues that bother them about the usage of AI, right? So I propose to you a couple of concepts that might be useful for you, which I thought about as a way to deal with a problem with AI. Okay. So the first concept I wanted to discuss with you is the concept of either can be called agency or authorship. Authorship, the fact of being an author. And now AI creates a very strange thing where you create a text, but you're not the only one to create a text. So you might feel you're cheating, that you're a fraud. It's not really you. You might feel depossessed by your own writing. It can create strange things in the mind. So I wanted to, and in fact, some criticism of AI has been precisely that people are deprived of authorship, or the authorship is not so clear. So, as a background, I wanted to bring you some examples where before AI, this existed. Okay. One example are politicians who have speech writers, you know. Now, the politicians who have speech writers, it's a combination of their ideas, the skills of a speech writer, a sort of combination where he asks the speechwriter to write a speech, either to propose him certain ideas and then he has to fit him, or he gives some ideas to the speechwriter, and the speechwriter will then write the speech. So in this case, when you hear the speech of the politician, you don't know exactly what is the process by which the speech was made. But in a way, for people that listen to it, it's a non issue. You don't try to investigate. Maybe some specialists will recognize the influence of this speechwriter or that speechwriter. But for most people, they won't see the difference. It's the speech of the politician, and that's what he says. That's his words, right? Even though it's not really his words or partially his words or maybe even not at all his words, but he accepts to sign it. And because he accepts to sign it, it becomes his speech. Okay. A second example are ghostwriters, especially when people get a little bit known. And they have ghostwriters, same principle. They have ghostwriters, maybe they give them instructions, maybe the people propose them something, then they have a discussion, and at some point, the book will come out with the name of an author, which is not really his author. A typical example is biographies of celebrities. Many celebrities write their autobiography, but most times they're not skilled to write. They did not write the whole book. So what they do is they give stories about their life, and they have someone they have someone who will put them together, write them nicely, and they discuss and all that. And the book will be signed, either signed as well by the ghostwriter or not at all. Sometimes they don't say, they prefer not to say. It looks like the celebrity has written this book, by himself. Yeah. And a third example I wanted to give you, as well, another classic, is a professor. When some professor wants to write a book, he's going to use his PhD students or others to help him write the book. They will do the research, he will write part of it, and either again he will say that these students what these students did, but often just mention their name or even forget their name, and he will have written the book in collaboration with the students. Okay, so these are some examples to show you that the problem of the AI is not a new problem, is what is a real authorship, and why it is not really a problem, right? The question is, of course, it can be total cheating if the professor has the students writing totally the book and he didn't do hardly anything, which is possible, which has existed apparently, right? But then it's his choice. And again, that's your choice. We can use the AI in a similar way where you do absolutely nothing. So if you want to do that and just have the AI writing for you, apparently I read a study that on LinkedIn, a lot of texts are now written by the AI. Now, what is the percentage of collaboration between the official author and the AI? I don't know. But just for fun, one reason they noticed that it's a lot AI writings is that there's hardly any spelling mistakes. When traditionally when people write, there were a lot of spelling mistakes, but with the AI, the spelling has improved a lot. And that's how you can tell. That's one of the main characteristics of knowing it's the AI is the absence of spelling mistakes. See, so the language is improving thanks to the AI. Okay. So that's the first concept I wanted to bring you is the idea of authorship. And in a way, the usage of the AI has affected the concept of authorship. Then if it's a problem for you or not, well, fine, that's a decision. Personally, I tend to be against copyright. I don't really care who's the author. If the text is interesting, I'm fine with it. I prefer an interesting text written by AI, a stupid text written by a physical person. But that's my very subjective choice because I tend to be against copyright. When people ask me if they can use what I wrote, I say, you insult me. I'm not the owner of what I write. Once I wrote it, it does not belong to me anymore. But again, that's my subjective perspective on the matter of authorship and the ownership of text. I don't like at all the idea of ownership of text, even though some people criticize me because I make money with copyright with my publishers. But there I'm stuck. I have no choice. I sell them the text and they do whatever they want, and then I don't even own it anymore. Anyway, so first thing was the dilution or the attack on the concept of authorship, but it is not a new problem. Oh, and the last funny thing about that is that in the old times, like in the medieval period, for example, when people wrote a book, they didn't care so much to put their name. They would write Aristotle, because you want to be sure that people read your book. So you don't say I'm so and so. You write Aristotle. So you have a lot of pseudo Aristotle or pseudo whatever, because what they're concerned with was not their name, was the fact that a book was read. Okay, just another little illustration of the problem of what is authorship, yeah. But not some people have sacralized authorship. So this is the first concept I wanted to present to you because it's a problem with work with AI. The second, I'll bring the second concept, and after that, I'll give a moment if you want to discuss any of the two concepts before we move to some more practical issues. Okay, the second concept I want to bring to you is the concept of augmented self, yeah. because one thing that can be characterized of the usage of technology is the self is augmented. Let's call it, it's not the natural self anymore or the true self. We can call it an augmented self. Augmented self. Now, I want to bring some concrete example of that. It's about the speed of human beings. Now, in the Olympic Games at the beginning, the speed of human beings was running. Running was, in fact, at first in the Olympic Games, was the only activity, was the only competition, was how fast people can run, and they had different format of running and racing, and yeah, what you can call the natural running. And then later on, they introduced chariot racing, right? Chariot racing as a way of determining the speed. At first, it was not so much, it was mainly an aristocratic thing. But then they introduced it as part of the Olympic Games, chariot racing. So the speed was not anymore how fast you can run, but how fast you can run a chariot, with, of course, depending on the horses. Yeah. In fact, in Rome, running became totally uninteresting, and people are only concerned with chariot racing. It became the main exercise on how fast you can go. So that's an example of augmented self, well, with the speed. And now chariot racing is not very popular anymore. Of course, they're still running, but we have cars and we race cars. Yeah. And of course, cars go much faster than chariots, will go much faster than running. So if you look at these three steps I'm describing, we have sort of augmented self, and nobody's going to say, oh, but this car racing, it's artificial, it's not real, it's not a real human being. No, because we have integrated the technology, or the tools, as part of human functioning, and nobody's going to criticize it for being artificial. Now, if you want, you can prefer, of course, natural running, but the augmented self of car racing has become totally natural. And another funny example I discovered is that the introduction of mechanical mixers for beating eggs, and then especially electrical mixers. And there were a lot of protests of some people who didn't like either mechanical, electrical mixers, because the egg beating was not natural anymore. It was not considered natural, and therefore it was not as appropriate. And some people refused, some cooks were refusing to use the mixer, mechanical or special electrical, because it was not a natural beating. Now, by the way, for fun, for people who are interested in mixing eggs, actually, the mixing is not exactly the same. If you cook eggs, maybe you prefer the manual one, but if you make mayonnaise, yeah, definitely the electrical one is much better. So this mixture is another example of augmented self, and nobody now, I think, will, unless you're really a high-level cook with high-level cuisine, which you might protest, nobody says, no, 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 you cannot use electric mixer in order to prepare your eggs or your mayonnaise or whatever you want to do with the eggs, right? So the history of humanity is the integration of technology, of tools in its functioning, and in a way we can say it's an acquired nature. Acquired nature. For people who are old enough here to have practiced writing by hand before they moved to computers, I know myself, I wrote my whole dissertation by hand. That was part of the last big exercise of handwriting I did. I was very happy to discover and develop computer writing, and it changed. It changed totally the way I was writing. A very simple example for people that have the experience is for corrections. corrections are very painful, very difficult by handwriting because you have paper, then you have corrections all over the place. You get confused, you get mixed up. So you avoid as much as possible to make corrections. But once you are with computer, corrections are much simpler. Plus, you can have other people. Now, if you use Google Doc, you can have even other people making corrections. So it changed totally the way we write. Now I know some old writers I know still do not want to use computers. They think they need the contact between the pen or the pen and the paper. Fine, why not? You know, it's not prohibited to be nostalgic or conservative, yeah. But nobody's going to claim that real writing can only be done through handwriting and not through computers. But every time there's a new technology, there is an adaptation and integration, time for integration of the new technology, right? And some people have the luxury of be able to criticize or refuse the new technology, but others adapt, right? So that's why there's, I don't know how it works in your different countries, but the AI has created a lot of debates about precise different aspects, yeah. And one of them, which is interesting actually, to conclude a bit on that, is the fact that once you use the AI, you're much more productive. If you use it adequately, we can discuss it later on, but you're much more productive. You can produce much more text and more broader with broader horizon. It really shifts your writing. But some people have noticed that once you try again to work without the AI, you have the impression that you have a hard time to think. Yeah, you have a hard time to think. You have a hard time to produce the ideas. And of course, it's normal because when you write by yourself with the AI, very natural, you won't have as many ideas because when you give an idea to the AI, it's going to give you lots of different ways to look at it, to think about it, more than when you can think about by yourself. Or it would take you a lot of time, a lot of research to discover as many hypotheses. Yeah. So here I wanted to bring another example is a GPS. Right, the GPS, which now most people use GPS in their car, but some people refuse to use GPS. They want to stick with the maps. They think the maps is more real. It's more you have a more sense of the geography of the distances and all this, right? Now, actually, it's interesting. It's true. I agree that with the GPS, you lose a sense of global geography, for example, right? And I know because I use GPS when I want to go someplace and I don't care about the geography. But sometime, for some reason, when I want to get a sense of the geography, I will go look at a map. But that's a sort of intellectual luxury. Most times when I want to go someplace, I don't care about the geography. I just want to go someplace. But it's true, if you only use GPS to drive, for example, sometimes you don't even know if you're going east, west. You have no sense of a global geography. It's a purely practical matter. You just want to go someplace, right? So then it's a sort of intellectual luxury where you say, oh, now okay, I want to figure out what's happening, where I'm going, the global geography of the situation, and then you do it. But again, it's a little pleasure you have or a little curiosity, but you don't use it. So again, you can have this double standard, just the way that using car doesn't stop you from running or walking if you want to run and walk. But there's something we're integrated. And of course, we lose something. Yes, we lose something once we integrate a new technology. Yes, we lose something. Yes, it modifies the way we function. And we have much less a sense of directions when we use GPS than when we looking at a map. But to defend GPS, on the other side, my mind is more available to think. about some article I'm writing. I don't have to worry anymore about where I'm going. If I'm taking the wrong road, and no more. With GPS, I don't hardly think about where I'm going anymore, and I have time and I can uh, have my mind functioning on a different level to think about things more interesting, as far as I'm concerned, than exactly where I'm going and where I have to take a right turn or a left turn, right? So any integration of any technology, yes, there will be a loss. Definitely there will be a loss, but there is some gain if you find a gain. If you have find no gain, why not? But so there will be a big debate about the gains and the loss of using AI. So I wanted to bring this idea that this augmented self, the idea of any concept of augmented self, will give you some advantages, but at the same time, there will be a loss for the same reason. Just like the same way that in the evolution, the human eye, which is much more adequate to read, for example, is much less efficient than the eye of cats, for example, which is a hunting eye. But we don't have hunting eyes. We have reading eyes. Now, I'm not going to explain to you because I could not really do it. But what has changed in the functioning of the eye compared to previous species? But definitely we have lost some capacity in our eyes, but we have gained capacity in our eyes, and that's what we can read, right? So these were the two concepts I wanted to present to you. This idea of augmented self and the previous one, which I forgot already. So, but anyway, so before we move on more practical issues, I wanted to see if anybody had some comments to add to what I developed, or some questions or some objections. We might have some anti-AI uh, anti-AI agents in the room. Why not? It'd be interesting. So, anybody wants to ask something or contribute something, you raise your hand, either physical or virtual hand. And I hope I will not be alone. Oh my God, it's scary. Everybody got replaced by AI, so they can't think anymore. You can ask. Who's, yeah, Mona, you're raising your hand?
Yes, yes, I'm raising my hand because
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
okay, so thank you for having me in the meeting, first of all. I was thinking that when you're talking about that actually AI is not new, in my mind, actually, it created a kind of parallel with, I was in a writing workshop a while ago with a famous Romanian writer. So I come from Romania. And he was telling us that actually we cannot invent new things. So in writing, because everything what has been written until now has been written until 1950s, 1960s. So in a way, it created in my mind a parallel with like, okay, AI is the same, it's like also maybe AI is used, we don't because we use the old data. It's the same as in writing. In writing, they're saying you have to identify like some writers from the, I don't know, medieval era, or like to identify with that writer. And then just to add a personal touch. And for me, it's like creating this kind of parallel with AI. It's like at this moment, AI using all data, and then we are just adding the personal touch. I don't know exactly what I wanted to say, but it's just like it created, like we are using the all data, but then it's like, and my question, another question came in mind. It's like, can AI actually, like, we are losing creativity when we use AI or not, or we just use whatever has been written until now, and then we just add something extra. So it's like I have some very
Okay, Mona, but
yes.
I'm glad of your comment that you don't exactly know what your point is, because I was going to ask you, but before I asked you, you admitted
Yes.
you didn't. Okay, but let me tell you one idea I have about what you said. Very often, because I've written, I don't know, 100 books or so, people say, "Oh, how can you be so creative?" Or some question like that. Typical, when I go in to present books in bookstores, typical kind of silly question people ask you. And I say, look, I have never created anything in my whole life. Never. I have done two things. I've read, you know, and just I digest it like food, and then I just defecate my writing after digesting the food. That's the first thing. So all it is, it's a digestion and a reorganization. Okay. The
Mhm.
second source, but again, it's not creative, it's observation. Because it's true in my work, in what I write, I observe a lot. A lot of it, if you know what I write, is about observation. I listen to people, I watch people or animals or the world, whatever. So it's observation. So in a way, I never created anything, and that's fine. I don't see the problem. In fact,
Mm.
if you look at an author, whatever book he wrote, I mean, what did they create? A little rearrangement of things, of situations. And once in a while, you do have some concept being brought. But in a way, it's fine. It's like this idea that nothing disappears, nothing is created. Everything is just reorganization. That's fine. And that's a choice. But the idea there would be some genial, the genius of authors and all that. I know some people are very romantic about it, very glorifying, and that's probably why this guy you're speaking about, he probably tries
Mm.
to criticize that. But personally, I agree with Nietzsche on this, that the concept of genius in writing and thinking is a bit you know,
Rated.
over glorified. Yeah, over glorified. And he said, why not? The engineer that makes a machine to organize things, he just reorganized things. So, yeah, fine. It's a choice. I know in France, for example, where we have I try to look at different countries and their criticism of the AI. It's funny, it's not the same, huh? But in France, because we glorify very much we're very smart people, so we glorify genius, and that's a big part of the argument that never the AI will be a genius like Proust or whatever. Okay, fine, why not? Yeah. But anyway, but the idea it's a vision of the world. But anyway, but if people are geniuses, fine, they'll do their genius stuff, and that's all. I don't think the AI will stop them from being genius. And for people that say the AI doesn't think, sometimes say, "Oh, the AI doesn't think; it doesn't do like geniuses." I tell those people, "Look, come to my village. I'm going to have you talk to the people in my village, and then you tell me who's smarter, people in my village or the AI." You know? The comparison will not be hard to do. So the argument of the geniuses, I think it's a bit specious argument. Maybe there are geniuses, fine, why not? But even they are, it's a very, very, very small percentage of the population. And I think if people dialogue with AI globally, not geniuses, of course, but normal people, I think they can become smarter by discussing with the AI. Yeah. So I would sort of echo what this guy said there that, yeah. Good.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Yeah, Kate?
For the sake of argument, there is an author, a Native American, who wrote a text called Traditional Technology, who says that when you are playing in the earth yourself with your hands, you learn from it. Like the Native Americans knew about crop rotation before any scientific evidence understood that some plants deplete different nutrients. And they knew because they were not using even simple technology, they were one with the earth. And so there is an argument from people that even simple technology like cars have have taken us away from the earth and away from our natural state, and this is not wholly beneficial.
Okay. What's the moral of the story? What's the key idea?
That there is some intuition to being connected to nature and doing things without technology,
Yeah.
that we lose with technology.
Yes, but yes, I agree. I even said it earlier. Yes, you will lose certain things. Now, first of all, the question, it doesn't have to stop you from having connection with nature if that's your vocation. Why not? But yes, any augmentation of the self, if I keep using that concept, will necessarily make you lose something. Yeah, make you lose something. So yes, that's the case. After that, is this loss a real problem? Is it not? This debatable. But of course, our ancestors had a much better understanding or connection, not understanding, connection, immediate connection to nature than we might have today. But today we have a more mediated connection to nature, and there's science, technology. Yeah. So, but I think if people want to have a romantic relation to reality, why not? I'm not against it. It's a choice and it has some reality. Like, I find very cute when I see people with their map. The other day I met people, they had a map to find their way. I, I found them really, why not? Yeah, they have a particular relation to the area with their map and not using the GPS. Why not? Yeah. So I do agree that we're losing some knowledge, some connection with this augmented self conception. But I mean, you can resist if you want. I think you might have a problem. Yeah. And I've seen it with internet. I know all these people that were against internet because they would lose. That was a while ago, and now I think it doesn't exist so much. But still, it was more popular, like 25 years ago, because you would lose connection, real connection with the real people. Now, in a way, it's true. Even the same house, the family, they'll send messages. They'll send messages for for from upstairs to downstairs, thing like this. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, we can have, like today's an example. We have a community of people that could not have existed before internet. Yeah, yeah. So yes, there is a loss. We can use social media as a way of avoiding real human relation, if you want to call it like that, or physical connection, where you can smell the smell of other people, but it develops other possibilities. Fine, I think that's a history of humanity. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I agree. Whether this thing is right, the question is how significant it is. That's another question. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, Victoria?
Yeah, I really like this concept of augmented self. Theoretically, I experience this issue with AI because I use AI a lot daily, and then I started to notice this certain reduction of mental capacity. Sometimes that when I have to produce multiple ideas myself, I feel this blank, and I feel the urge just to ask GPT or other AI because that's faster. They will give me multiple perspectives, and this blank, yeah, sort of bothers me. But at the same time, I see that I could accomplish things like this summer, some projects that I was never able to accomplish. There's something completely new was created thanks to using psycholinguistic analysis with AI. And the mental load that AI produced was really incomparable to anything we could have done. So I see that there is a kind of relocation of mental energy. Is it something shifts, like you lose in a way, like a part of your brain atrophies, but another one develops. It's like at the same time, I think it's useful not to attach too much to the usual way, but there is something that, for example, if there is the delegation of a mental load to AI, you will free cognitive space to do something else with that cognitive space. Like the same way when before you had to, if you wanted to research something, you had to spend hours in a library going through books and books and books. And now you just need a split of a second. So that means you have all this time for mentally to allocate somewhere else. So it's an interesting feeling is that at the same time you lose your old capacities, but you definitely gain something that you never had access to.
Since you mentioned something, I know which for you very important aspect of your work, but you mentioned it, but people don't know what you're talking about. If you can briefly say, what do you mean by using AI for psycholinguistics analysis?
Yeah, we had a project where we analyzed text that people write in Russian, Chinese, and then Indonesian language. And AI, in particular, GPT, is really good now at doing profiling. So when you give it a text and you ask it to analyze linguistically which words the person is using, what it indicates about their thinking, it really can give you, so in a split of a second, you have a really great profile from any, as well, from any standpoint of any analysis of a person that exists. So you can give it DISC, that's one, the disk analysis. So you can give a name of a particular method you want to use, and it will analyze the person, and quite insightful. So now the AI became much more daring. So it judges, it passes judgment on people. And because of that, you can as well upload a lot of data, a lot of texts, and ask it to do comparative analysis. For example, we were uploading texts in Russian and then in Chinese, and to compare the differences in how people speak about themselves, how they think about themselves, and why. All this is really we were using AI like a thinking partner. It's actually, you think with it. So you propose hypotheses, you find problems, and this amount of like analysis of words and everything, before it was taking hours and days, and now you just get it in a few minutes. And it was really pleasant to think as well with it. For example, me personally, I used to do this analysis before, and I didn't really have like a sparring partner to person to think with, and there it was really pleasant. You don't feel alone anymore because you can think together about those issues.
Okay, and by the way, since you mentioned libraries, I know in academic philosophy, for me, that was always, by the way, a criticism I had, is that very often when people write dissertation, they were more concerned with going to look for books and quotes and information about authors rather than thinking by themselves. So if there is a, a corruption of the authentic thinking, it existed already before by precisely using libraries rather than doing thinking. And that's one of the criticisms we have in philosophical practice, that there should be much more autonomous thinking from that standpoint and not just depend on books. Yeah. All right. Anybody else wants to bring something? Although we will go shortly to the more practical aspect, but is there any other? Yes, Andrea, go ahead.
Yes, I like both the ideas that ideas don't belong to anybody, and what Victoria just said, that AI can become a thinking partner. At the same time, as a teacher, I see a relevant difference between, let's say, reading something, digest, like you said before, and then producing some ideas about it, and to use well-made done ideas, because that work that we do by digesting, now many students don't do it anymore. So maybe that's what we lose, or we may lose, by using AI instead of thinking by ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you mean the idea of going through a book? Yeah, slowly, painfully, and slowly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that, by the way, can be, but for teachers, because in your case, is as you think this problem as a teacher, I think in teaching, people will have to rethink the way they teach, the way they evaluate. I think there's a big challenge, and for teachers, it's not obvious. Just the same way there was to go from teaching where it was mainly monologue from the teacher to more participative type of teaching, which has been the challenge of the last, let's say, 30 years. And now, yes, we have to introduce new data, new situation. And I think, yes, it's going to have to be thought through, because I agree with you, the capacity to read a text, will be determinant. But the question is how, indeed, how this will evolve and how we can still work on this capacity. Yes, but we do have gymnastic classes where people have to run and jump without using a car. So I think we can figure out ways that where the students can exercise themselves on work like this, no? But it has to be thought how to do it, yeah, how to do it. Maybe there should be reading sessions with the class, with the whole class. I don't know, you know. So, but I think definitely there will be a challenge on how both to teach and how to evaluate, because actually the biggest problem now for teachers is not even the teaching, but the evaluation of homework and things like this, where they think there's a lot of what they call cheating. But you cannot avoid the, I know I see in the schools here, even kids, you know, 10 years old now, they have them using the AI in the documentation center. So we have to see how to integrate that. But I agree that it's not because in a way the AI is unavoidable. It's not because we think it's useful. We should not be thinking about what can be done in order to compensate certain of these losses that should be dealt with. I agree. We should not be just naive about it. Yeah. So there's a challenge for you, Andrea. How to how to how to make the students work on reading. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true indeed. Now a big issue in the school, at least in Italy here, is that most of the teachers they don't give homework anymore because it doesn't make sense, because students ask AI to do it instead of them. So, but personally, I invite the student to use the AI, like Victoria was saying before, not to replace the thinking, but to think together with it. And I think that's useful and can produce positive effect in the education of the children and teenagers.
Well, actually, that's the moment to think a concept that's known but not so popular of inverted pedagogy, where the classroom is not anymore the place to give information, but the place to practice, to dialogue. Okay, you've done your thing with the AI, that was easy. Now let's see, you explain it, we discuss it, yeah? So I think you know why inverted pedagogy, Andrea? Yeah, okay.
Yes, I know it, yes.
Okay. So inverted pedagogy, I think, is one of the tools that can be used, where the issue then in the classroom will not be a monologue from the teacher, because they can get this in the AI even better. And I know in philosophy, I find the AI is more clear than many, many professors. You know, much more, it's more simple. So the classroom will become more some interactive exercise where there's no knowing computers, and the students have to express the ideas, what they read, you know, give argumentation, whatever. So yeah, so I think the idea now, and I know in some countries there are more Anglo-Saxon countries are better on this than our Latin countries, which are more conservative, but they're really thinking of how to rethink the education and the evaluation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why most of the teachers hate, like I guess at least here, AI, because they feel repressible from it, and they don't want to change the way they think to themselves as a teachers, basically.
Right. Yeah. But that's more the case like in Italy, like France, and and Catholic countries were more reactionary on this matter than the English-speaking countries, for example. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, see, Laurence is very impatient. Poor thing, she's raising her hand since 5 minutes. They say, when is it going to be my turn to speak? No, Laurence, is the time. Go ahead. But you have to open microphone.
It's very funny because I just do this a few minutes ago, and the IA did raise my hand for me, so I have nothing to do. It's impatient for me. It's very funny.
Okay.
It's Zoom, I don't know. Well, I just wanted to tell to Andrea that yes, you can go through a book with IA. For example, I'm reading Camus en ce moment.
Laurence, AA, here we call AI, okay?
AI, yes. I'm reading Camus, and it's a bit complicated, you know, and I'm just asking IA, no. what What does
AI.
it mean?
AI.
AI.
Okay, okay, we know AI is AI for you now.
AI,
Everybody got
AI.
it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
But I make a big effort to speak English, so be.
Good, good. We're with you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that it can help you to go through a book to read an author a bit complicated, like Hegel or Camus, and you can ask your students IA to explain the concept. So it helps to read a book,
Right.
to read an author, a complicated author.
Right. You use it to explain, yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Indeed, huh? But even without authors, sometimes people write to me letters I don't really understand. And the AI is really smart to understand what some people write. Yes, so indeed, it can be used as a, we already start deal with the practical things, but that's good. Yes, it can be used as a way to help you understand something or criticize as well. You know, while we're at it, when somebody sends you a text or a book, you can ask for criticism, and that's one thing that people often don't know or forget. AI is very good at the critical analysis. Yeah, you know, yeah. For example, a woman told me I should read her book. I don't really want to read her book, but I want to discuss with her. So I asked the AI, what would be the criticism that I could make about this book? And then I sent her the criticism. In a way, she was happy because I read her book, and the other not happy because I gave her criticism. But anyhow, Laurence, did you want to add something? Or
Yes, for your students, you can also ask AI to give you exercise, to problematize, to find example, to conceptualize. It's very useful to give you some exercise.
All right, to invent exercises.
To invent exercise, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And by the way, people concerned with creativity, in a way, AI can be more creative than you to invent exercises. Yes, yeah. Okay, good. Anybody else? Yes, Victoria?
Just a little addition to what now we were discussing about the school. I know there's now private school in Bali, and they ask students to give the screenshots or the whole thing of the discussion with GPT. So there is a homework, and you can use GPT to do homework.
You give what? The spring?
Screenshot.
Screenshot.
Or the copy the discussion. So that means math, for example, use it for math. So students puts it inside GPT, he gets an answer, and then he has to question or keep discussing with AI, asking as well for some meta reflection on how he's doing. So he has to ask GPT, for example, tell me what is missing from my reasoning or what is good for my reasoning. And then he has to agree or disagree with what AI said. And so the whole discussion is sent, the screenshot, not just the homework, which I think is a nice way. So it shows, because they train them to discuss with AI on the meta level. So that's,
okay,
I think,
so
a nice way as well.
They include the AI, and they ask to do a work about the AI, we call meta
discussing with AI. Yeah, yeah, and they said they noticed that students learn much faster. The program goes faster because they already can discuss at home as well with AI.
Right, right, yeah, and the AI is often is quite pedagogical. I find more than many teachers. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? No, we're good. I check if I see. Oh, who did raise their hand? Yeah, Boris, go ahead.
Yeah, I teach math, and I agree that even on math, I mean, AI can help a lot students. So I see that more and more my role is to even from more like a psychological basis, because I need to make students active, so wanting to learn, finding the interest, and then when they have the motivation, yes, they are free to use AI to answer all their questions. So all this kind of part of the job, they can do it with AI, but more and more it's more about knowing where to look, what to learn. That is my job. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? No? Let me check if I see any other hand up. Okay, fine. Okay, so now let's go on some practical thing. Yeah, because actually it's Kate that started this thing. She wanted to know my secrets on how I work with the AI. So I'm gonna give you some of my secrets, and maybe others can share their secrets. Okay. All right, so let me give you some general tips on how personally I work with AI. But again, don't forget, it's for philosophical writing because people use it for very different things, different functions. Some use it to make their agenda, their planning. I heard that now the AI is used a lot as as a psychological counselor. Yeah, apparently has become a very popular but and some people already started attacking it, saying there's a young guy that committed suicide after many hours of dialogue with the AI on these psychological problems. But they forget that I'm pretty sure you can find some youth that committed suicide after doing much psychological therapy. But anyway, so apparently, yeah, it's used a lot for psychological advice, therapy, counseling, which personally I think is good. But anyway, but I use it for philosophical writing, and that was the topic of today. So let me tell you different ways I can use it. Okay, now, first of all, one thing that definitely the AI, I mean, definitely, I cannot say definitely, but that it does not do is to give you something you want to think about. I mean, it's not going to give you like that. You have to come up, you have to identify something you're interested in. And for this, either you observe, you read, you listen. But the AI, I mean, you can always ask the AI, give me 10 topics. Actually, you can do that. No, I don't use it, but I don't do it, but you could do it. Give me 10 topics that could interest me. And yeah, it might give you some topics. Now, but generally, the way personally I function is things come up to my mind through discussions, through reading, through observing. And then I have some theme or some questions coming to my head, right? So then I have two possibility. Either I ask the AI to give me some, if it's a question, to give me, Farwell would say, give me 10 hypotheses, 10 ways to answer this question, right? And it will give me 10 ways to answer this question. So it gives it to you. After that, some might be a bit redundant. You might think he puts two different ones that are a bit the same. Yeah. But the first thing I do is I rarely use only one AI. Rarely. It can happen. Sometimes I use only one. But I will ask different AIs. I use GPT. I use the two Chinese AI, QN and DeepSeek. I use Claude. I use, what is it, Perplexity? I think Perplexity. Gemini, yeah. So most of them are free, by the way. The only paying one where it's better to take the paying version is GPT, but all these others, they're free and you can use them for free. And the free version is just fine, right? So I recommend to use different AIs. It's good. It's always better. But anyway, so first possibility, I just ask the question. I ask for 10 different hypotheses and I see what it gives me, right? And then I see what to do with it. Second possibility, I have an angle by which I want to deal with a problem. Okay, I'll give you one about a text I wrote recently. Is why is it so hard to discuss with philosophers? And ask him different reasons, and maybe people saw the text on Facebook, wherever. It gave me different reasons why it's difficult to discuss with philosophers. But I was more interested in one aspect, and after that, I asked specifically this question. I said, because I think philosophers in their training and their education are facing geniuses, but most of them will not be geniuses. They would like to be geniuses. They're a bit jealous, but they will not be geniuses. So that makes them upset. So fundamentally, most philosophers are upset by definition because they will not be, they know they will not be what they would like to be. But they still hope, strangely enough, that people will think they're geniuses. They pretend. Anyway, so in that case, I explained a little bit my thesis to GPT, like it was GPT, and then it gave different reasons why this could make sense. But generally, when you have a more specific thesis, it will give you as well some type of criticism, some kind of thing where you say, well, maybe it's not really the case for such reason. It will tend to do it, right? And if it does not do it, I always ask for criticism. What could be criticized about these theses? Now, the thing is that some people criticize the AI because it does tend to be nice with you. That's the case, right? I don't remember the name for this, but oh yeah, it's called a sycophantic. It's called a sycophantic tendency, right? Sycophant is a sort of an actor. So AI is nicer than teachers, right? It tends, I don't know in your different countries, but in France, teachers like to criticize. They tend to be harsh. So AI is nicer. It tends to support. It tends to go along with you and give you reasons why you're right. Yeah, it's true. And that's why two people that they argue one against the other, both of them go to see the AI, and both come, you see, the AI told me I was right. And the other one says, oh yeah, but no, the AI told me I was right. So I don't know if you ever had that, but it's a very funny, situation where two people opposing each other both had the AIs supporting them, right? Now, it's true there is this tendency, but that's your choice. In a way that's a bit normal. He wants to help you. He wants to help you find arguments. It's your choice, if it does not provide criticism, to ask for criticism. If you don't want, fine. If you just want to be right, you can do that. Yeah. If you fight with your husband and you explain why your husband is a bad guy, and after that, if you want, if you're bold, you can always add the I. But what could be a defense of my husband or my wife? I don't want to be sexist on this matter. What could be a defense of her? And then have both sides, and most likely it will give you some arguments more on both sides. So you have to ask for criticism, and I tend to ask that, right? So these are already two ways. One, to ask a general thing. Second, to ask something more specific. I have more specific ideas, and I ask it to give me some analysis of the idea I propose, right? And the third thing, which is a bit different, is when I want just something very specific. For example, I have a concept and I just want a definition. I just want an explanation. Now, one thing, I'm going to say very basic things for people that already use the AI, but people that don't know. You have to specify your request, what they call the prompt. You have to specify your request to the AI. If I just don't want a long text about something, I just want a short definition, I have to ask for a short definition. I have to ask, tell me in one sentence or two or three sentences, an explanation or a definition of this. And generally, it tends to more or less respect what you're asking for. So you have to learn to define what you want. Do you want argumentation? Do you want a definition? Do you want an explanation? And actually, what's interesting is that it means you have to learn to be precise about the task you want to accomplish. And that's interesting because in our philosophy workshops, I often notice that people speak, but they don't really know where they're going. They just speak. They have ideas crossing their mind and just speak. So, but what do you want to do? Do you want to prove something? Do you want to criticize something? What are you doing? Is it an analysis? They don't know. But when you work with the AI, you have to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, anyway, you're going to get lost, right? Okay. And another important issue on this is that there are two different ways you can ask about something. When I ask a general question, I often do two things. I will say, give me an answer to these questions, like 10 hypotheses, yeah? And it will give me 10 hypotheses, different concepts. But then I might say, prepare to me a text, an article, and I will say, give me an article of 30 lines, for example. Prepare an article of 30 lines on this topic, yeah? And it will prepare an article on 30 lines on this topic, right? Now, I've noticed one thing that when I do both, that regularly in the text it proposes, it has forgotten some concept it had brought up in the other parts because it did not integrate all the different concepts. So I might check the concept I got in the initial part and see if I want to use them, and then I can ask, can you add in the article, can you add something about this or that concept, right? Then in the article, I might check what I want, what I don't want, what I think is appropriate, not appropriate, or maybe he quickly mentioned a concept that is not clear. So I will say, so I say, well, can you explain this concept, right? So therefore, it's a work where you have to examine, to think, to evaluate what is giving, and you have. And then that's when I will ask other concepts. By the way, one which is really good for pure concept is Claude. Claude, it will give you, it's much more conceptually, not so good, I find, to write the whole text, but quite good to give concepts. And I will ask just to give me a list of answers, new concepts, and then I check if I have some concepts I want to use in the text, and then how I can integrate it, yeah? So that's that's probably the most standard way. And of course, as I added, once I wrote a text, I will give it back and say, well, what criticism would you have? What are the problems you see in the text that I wrote? And it will give me different problems, yes. One criticism I get very often, oh yeah, that's a funny one about the subjectivity of the AI. The AI is very cautious in general. It's very cautious. There's a lot of can, maybe, a lot of this kind of thing. But me, when I write, I'm a bit more radical. That's people that know my writing might know that. I'm more radical. I don't want these can, this maybe. So periodically it tells me, yeah, your text is very nice, but you're a bit categorical. Maybe you should, blah, blah. So then I see certain places, yeah, indeed, maybe it's better to be more cautious, and others, no, I don't care. It's your political correctness because you're an American product. You're politically correct. I don't care about your maybe and can and all that, right? But there's certain, but as well, you can say, I don't want, I can specify, I don't want to hear anything about this. It's a choice, yeah. Because one thing you should know, in case you don't know, is that especially GPT, probably more than others I find, once it knows you, it adapts to your style. Right? It knows you, right? So, and that's why it's funny, because I had an experience recently where a journalist asked me about a book of mine. He asked me like 10 questions. And I didn't want to answer those 10 questions. I thought the exercise was really boring. I didn't want to do it. So I gave the book to people don't know. You can put a file you can put a file to the AI. You can download a whole file, so it can be a whole book. No problem. If you cannot give a whole text copy and paste, it will refuse it, but you can give the file of a book, yeah, for example. So I gave him the file of the book, and I said, now here are the 10 questions that this journalist asked me. Please answer 10 lines each question. And it was really amazing. I was really astonished because it gave me a work, and I don't think I changed anything, basically. I gave it to the journalist, and the journalist was very happy, and he published what I had written. He was very happy about the result, and I was happy too, because I didn't want to do this job, yeah? So if at some point you don't want to do a job, you don't want to do some work, some writing work, you're not interested, or you have to answer your mother-in-law, and you don't want, it can be very personal letters, by the way. Your mother-in-law writes, you don't want to answer. If your mother-in-law writes to you, I don't know. You just ask, hey, look, can you and you can say what kind of letter you want, a bit sarcastic, a bit ironical, poetic. It can write poetry. I want to write a poem to answer my mother-in-law. It will give you a poem, yeah, which is sometimes not bad, you know, or song or whatever, yeah. So you can say it can be ironical. It can be I want to impress her. I want an academic text, right, with quotes from philosopher. It will do this. So you can ask different styles and different type of answer, yeah. So let me think. So for me, see that's then there are other aspects, but that's the most basic way that I use the AI when I want to write a text. But I have to say, I feel much less lonely now that I have, it has changed my life as a writer, because before, maybe people are busy, you don't really have somebody to speak to you, or people that can speak to you, they're not so, I don't know, they're not so smart, not so knowledgeable. So it's very nice because you get feedback, and plus I wake up in the middle of the night. Who am I going to call? Unless maybe a Chinese because it's already morning. But the AI is always available, always patient, always rather pedagogical. It's really nice. So it really does create, interesting relation. Yeah, anyway, so I'm going to stop already with this little description to see if some people want to comment what I said, or if people who are now used to AI want to ask questions about what I said. You can ask questions as well. So Tina, go ahead.
I want to go back to the concept augmented self.
Yeah.
There's a new word now. It's called AI equality, which means AI can bring us to places we would never have been before. For instance, you can acquire knowledge you previously didn't possess, and develop ideas about fields you would never have dared to explore. This seems to both feel human greatness and also expanded the boundaries of human potential. So I was thinking maybe the augmented self is a neutral word. It can bring the positive side and it can also bring the negative side to human.
Mm, mm. And okay, I'm more clear on the positive side based on what you said, but what would be the negative side here in what you said? I didn't hear it. The negative side, what is it?
It gets people more greediness.
Greedy, greedy.
Greedy, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you worry that the AI will make people greedy, yeah?
Yes.
Well, I prefer that greed to other type of greeds. If you're greedy, if your greediness is to get more knowledge, I mean, okay, we can always criticize the excess of that, but I think in the my hierarchy of greediness, it's probably one of the best greediness, no? To want more knowledge, no?
Maybe not only the knowledge. You want to do things that you may not dare to do, and it can also make you more anxious, because you think with AI you can do more things. It's more greedy. It's not only the knowledge.
Makes you more anxious, yeah?
So I was thinking maybe the word greedy change. Maybe I don't know what is the greedy now with AI.
There is a concept. For example, do you know the book of Goethe of the Faust? Faust, you know? No, you don't know? Okay,
No.
famous. You know
不
Goethe?
是的，
Huh? Oh,
不
okay,
是
okay.
的，
Oh, okay.
Yes, I know.
Okay, yeah. Faust is an interesting type of greed. It is a greed of knowledge, right? But he knows everything, he knows everything, and then he says, "So what? It did not make me happy. It did not improve humanity. It's useless," and he gets depressed, and then he sells his soul to the devil. So there is, I agree with you, and we see it sometime in the academic world, a certain type of greediness of knowledge. Is it? No, I agree. It does exist, yeah. Now the question is, how does the AI change that or not? I don't know. Maybe, yeah. But personally, if people want to know more, because I find this greediness of knowledge is not the, you find it in some academic circle, but in generally for human beings, not so much. It's not the most popular form of greed. So if right now I'm not worried about greediness for knowledge. It's the least it's the least dangerous greed, I think, today. Yeah, there's other kind of greed, but that one, yeah. But it does exist, but it's not the most dangerous thing we face now, you know? Yeah. Is that okay with
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I see more the lack of the lack of energy to discover and to think, you know, more than the greed for knowledge. Yeah. 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 But yes, we'll see, you know, maybe it will happen, yes. When you have a chip planted in your brain to have access to internet to the whole of knowledge with your just within your brain. Yeah. Are we good?
Actually,
Tina? Yeah.
there are products go public right now with the chip planted into your brain. There's already the product to go public right now.
Oh, really? And then what do you do with this chip? You have all the information of the world?
I didn't try it, but I know.
Oh, because my cat has this chip, but it only gives identification. Identification. It's a very limited chip anyway. Just joking. All right.
Okay.
Good, Tina?
Yes.
Okay, fine, fine. Huh? Yes, but if it can make people more dynamic to learn, so far so good. Anyway, all right. Anybody else? Yes, Wei.
Yeah, I want to say something about what Tina said. I think what she's speaking is not about greed for knowledge, is about this augmented self will enlarge the illusion of oneself. For example, it gives you some ideas about your project, like 10 plans or whatever, and it gives you a sense of like, wow, I can do that. So I think this is what I understood from Notina about this.
Right,
Yeah, it's not about greed for knowledge. It's about it will enlarge the illusion of yourself.
right, right. A sort of Promethean type of scheme where you want to touch the gods. Yeah, you think you can do everything. Okay, yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. Yes.
Yes.
But I think as well, again, it's a bit the history of mankind with the development of all kind of technologies more and more. Yeah, we have the illusion that we can take over the world. Yeah, yes, I agree. Yeah, that's yes. So it might indeed increase that. Yes, yes, it might increase that. Yes, yes, right. Yes, good. Yeah. And I think anyway, there'll be all kind of new challenges, even though I'm rather optimistic and even enthusiastic about the AI. I think it will bring different kind of problems. Yeah, you know. Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. All right, fine. Anybody else? Yes, I see Victoria who didn't speak much. No, Kate. Okay, Kate, go ahead.
I'm forming the hypothesis that, like, the ancient mythologies, that how we use something reveals something much more about ourselves than it does any secrets of the universe. I had a student who came to me and said, I wanted to write my paper on Colin Kaepernick, who is the American footballer who would not kneel for the anthem. And he said, I looked for scholarly articles on Colin Kaepernick and I found only 3. So I couldn't do my paper. And after I discussed with him a little bit about things to search for instead of just the name of the guy, he came to the idea, okay, maybe I should be searching for sports and patriotism. And we found many papers on this, many articles. And I see myself when I want AI to do something, my prompt is maybe like 500 words long because I'm being so specific about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to include. So the technology is less interesting than what we do with it.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that, I have noticed that on certain topic, um, something I was not getting what I wanted, some interesting, and I had to try different formulations. Sometimes, yes, I had to try maybe 10 different prompts until finally I got what I wanted, what I expected. Yes. So indeed, that's what I said at the beginning. Nothing will replace. I think, at least for now, nothing will replace your activity as a writer, as a thinker. You have, just like with books before, you have to pursue until you find something or think about something that you know. But sometimes you have to think differently about it, as you just said. Now you have to think differently about it in order for the AI to give you something you think more interesting or more appropriate. Yes. So you cannot avoid, you cannot make the economy of being thoughtful. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yes. The AI will. There's a very banal way to use the AI, and then yes, you can. Let's call it cheating or just cheap usage of the AI. But personally, I don't find so interesting. But it's possible, yes. And sometimes people can give the illusion. But if you have, again, if you want to do philosophical writing and you want to investigate things and to problematize, yeah, you have to be a little bit have a little bit imagination. Yes.
For practical for others, there are prompt libraries where people have developed good prompts for very generic things like analyze this book or uh, write this paper, and people have developed like very specific prompts, and you can go to these libraries and use the prompt with AI and specify it the way that you want it to do.
All right, good. Anybody else? Yeah, I see Victoria. Let me check if there's someone that didn't speak. Now, for people who are not too familiar, you can ask a question, because right now it's mainly people that know, that spoke, but you don't have to be expert. If you are not and you want to ask a naive question, you can do it, Yeah, don't hesitate. You don't have to be smart. Okay, so if nobody else wants to speak, then Victoria, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to echo on this prompt issue. It is indeed really important, and I meet
Victoria,
people.
Wait, before. Can you define prompt just in case, because maybe not everybody
Yep.
knows the term.
Prompt is the instruction you give to an AI. So when you ask him to do something. So I meet people who say that it's too nice, or like it speaks to me, it always agrees with me. But when you ask them, did you ask it to criticize you? They say, oh, no, I didn't. But actually, it will do whatever you ask, and it is indeed. It really forces you to understand.
I just say hello to everyone, and after I will just quit. They say nothing interesting.
What's going on here?
Boris suddenly speaking.
Okay, go ahead, Victoria.
Yeah, that it really forces you to understand what you want. So you have to be very clear. So now you can even program a certain tone of voice. So if you want it to speak to you in a certain way, you have to say it. So you can say like, I want this. You give me this information, but like don't be too nice, be like this, be like that. Don't, like what Kate said, the prompt can be very long, but if it then remembers you, so you don't have to repeat every time how you want it to be. And it really forces, I think that's a very good cognitive exercise. It's not so easy to understand what it is exactly that you want. So when you don't get what you desired, you have to keep looking. Yeah. And then often like what Kate said is that it reflects more about you than about the AI, is that some people say, oh, AI is so stupid, or it just makes mistakes, or it's just so superficial. But when you look at the way they use it, it really indeed says more about them than about the tool. So we have, like in our team, we had people who arrived at the opposite or different result with the basically same issue. And another person who is used to ask questions, he says, yeah, but I asked this, look what it gave me. And it's very different information. So I think that, and as well for teaching now in some schools, they teach children more to give prompts, more to ask questions and to keep digging, more than the knowledge. You have to more now learn how to ask and understand what you want to get, because you have the tool for it, more than just wait for somebody to bring you something. So it's in a way more active approach. You have to like mine the knowledge. And the knowledge is not anymore like you read the book, but you can get any knowledge you want. You just have to learn to do it. Yeah. So it's in a way more mentally active approach.
And since you mentioned the idea of mistakes, which by the way is called hallucination in the domain of the eye, hallucination, it's interesting because I checked the different type of hallucination, and I realized that a lot of them show the AI is very human, because type of mistakes, one of them, which is very interesting, is that the AI doesn't like to say, I don't know. So when it doesn't know, when it cannot find, it will invent something. And I thought, this is so human, you know? People don't like to say, I don't know. So they're going to invent something to look like they know anyhow, right? And the AI does the same thing, yeah? So first of all, don't forget the AI has some human characteristics. So yeah, it can have hallucination. The second thing, don't forget, is the statistical. The AI is based on statistics. It makes statistics of what information there is, on what most likely the next word should be. It's very statistical based. So you can have strange things happening. You know, now it's improving. I think there's less than before. From the time I remember some time ago, where I got the idea that Hegel was a Greek philosopher, which is a bit of a pearl, but anyway, doesn't happen so much. But still, you have to know. For example, there was a problem with GPT who invents quotes. You ask him a quote, and he invents quotes. And so generally, his quotes they're not crazy, huh? But often they're not really quotes; they're reformulations. So when you ask GPT for quotes, you have to know that it can invent quotes which make sense. If the author didn't say it, he could have said it. It looks very credible, but it did not. So then you have to check with other AI, you know, like Victoria, what's the one that's good for quotes? I forgot.
Perplexity.
Perplexity. You can check perplexity of other if the quote is really a quote. Yeah. So you have to know these things. It's a human instrument, so it has human problem, and you know. Because for some people, it's funny, some people say, yeah, but it can make mistake. I say, yeah, well, just like your neighbor can make mistakes, just like anybody, right? So yes, indeed, it's not perfection. And that's another reason why in some cases, if you have a doubt or if you want to be sure of something, you are better to check with another AI. Now, it's not so much the problem in philosophy where, you know, it's about ideas, but I know for some people that want very practical information, yes, it's always better to check with others about information that it's relevant or appropriate. I know someone had complained about train schedules, that the train schedules were false on the eye. Well, if it's really important to catch that train, you better check some other place. So yes, so mistakes is part of it because it's a human product, so it's normal, yeah. Okay, anybody else? Anybody, if you have a problem with it, you hesitate, you don't know how to use it, you can ask. If some people want some practical, it was supposed to be a practical meeting. So yes, but I don't see anybody raising their hand. Well, okay, well, if there's nothing else, yeah. Okay, Victoria, you want to add something? Go ahead.
Yeah, it just to one more to give an example of it's nice to use AI for some meta analysis. Is that you write periodically in it, so it remembers you, especially GPT. If you have a paid version, it will remember what you do. And then you can ask at any moment, what do you think about my writing style? Or which problems do you notice? And it will overall say, for example, today I tried it. I say, what do you think about the prompts I give you? And it made a nice summary, but mostly positive. And so I asked it, and which problems do you see in my prompts? And I was really astonished. It gave me 7 problems, which are very, I mean, they all make sense, and they're very on a meta level. Like it tells me sometimes your prompts are fragmented, sometimes you're not patient enough to go step by step. You assume this is there a hidden expectation. Sometimes you ask me something in a very general way, but I see that you have hidden expectation, etc. So you can ask as well about overall things. Some people use it as a self-analysis. They put diary every week or every day to AI. So they write it and they send it. So it's there. And then once a week you can ask, give it the analysis of me, of my issues, of my thinking, of my writing, whatever. You can give it writing periodically and say, what would I change about the style, etc. So it gives you a nice overview that's very hard to have on your own, to see yourself from outside. So it's a nice mirror as well.
Right. Yeah, that's where it's quite impressive, both because it can analyze very nicely, more than most people could do it. But second, it will not be fearful to tell you, unlike your friends, you can who probably don't want to hurt your susceptibility. Yeah, it will tell you. So that's why it makes it quite a nice instrument. Yeah. And one thing on the practical level, for people that have a hard time writing, they say, I don't know what to write, this kind of thing. Today, there's really no excuse for. And I give you an example because I send text, I publish text on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on different social networks, and I hardly ever get feedback, very little feedback, yeah? And I find it a bit ridiculous because with the AI, suppose you read a text, all you have to do is say, well, what do you think about this text? Do you think it's good? What would be the criticism? And then you see what it says. You can use it. You can use what he says. You can have other ideas. It's a very nice tool, and at least you are producing ideas. It can help you, and little by little you will develop as well the skill. Because I think if you use the AI, at first it might be more a crutch where it does it a lot by itself, but as you practice it, I think you will develop as well your own skills. So I invite people, if you go on Facebook or on any social networks or read a text, do it right away, at least once a week. You take a text you met, you ask the AI, different AIs, what do you think about this text? What could be questions to ask? What could be criticism? And you arrange it in your sauce, take what you want, even copy what the AI says if you think it's fine. But it doesn't make sense not to discuss ideas, yeah, So yeah, because I see there's a lot of inertia, around ideas, and I think that's where the AI can be very useful, is to help you get out of your inertia. And maybe if you're scared of looking stupid with some idea you have as well, and people say, I didn't say it because I thought it was not interesting, stupid. Well, give it to the AI. Say, here's the idea I have. What do you think about it? And it will comment. Say, well, you should explain or what, or say, oh, it's good, you should express it. Yeah. So you can use the AI as your as little toddlers when they learn to walk, they have this thing to rest upon, or, you can use it as a tool to start developing your own writing. Don't forget, today that was the idea, using AI as a tool for philosophical writing. So yes, just start very simple things, or you have some idea crossing your mind, you throw it to it. Say, what do you think about this? Yeah, does it make sense? Does not make sense, right? So today, people that do not dialogue, on social media or whatever else. Don't write. It doesn't make sense. You're really missing something. Yeah, instead of passively looking at what you read. Yeah. And I'm preaching the pro domo because I always expect to get more feedback than I get when I write stuff. Yeah. But even for yourself, I think you can have a more free and enjoyable time when you see text and write about. Yeah. And you can write about it. So I really encourage people at least once a week, give it a try. Yeah. Try to give some feedback to some poor person that has been writing on social network instead of or either they write nothing or they put likes or this is great or stuff like that, boring stuff like that. I don't know what is worse, if just to get a like or people saying nothing. Yeah, but anyway, so just develop reactive your reactive nature with usage of the AI. Yeah. So I really encourage people to do this. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah. Yelling. Go ahead.
So today I was using AI to help my writing. Um, and I gave him a topic I would like to write about, and then he gave me some ideas from a lot of philosophers, and then I took the ideas I like into my writing, but then I don't know what to do next with the AI.
Well, what was your purpose of writing, first of all?
To organize my thinking about that topic.
Okay. Okay. So I propose to you that you give yourself a goal, a concrete task. For example, I want to develop this topic over 1 page or 3 pages, or I'm telling you how I work, because other people might propose other thing. You have to define, okay? For example, suppose you say, I want to clarify my thinking about this topic, and how long you want to write something for how long?
Do you mean the writing time or the text
No,
time?
the text, the length of the text. See,
The
you
text.
give yourself a
Oh,
goal. It's good to give yourself a goal. So how long this text you want this text to be?
maybe 3 paragraphs.
3 paragraphs. Well, you have more than that already then. Three
Why?
paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, that's 20 lines, right?
Yeah.
More or less.
You mean?
Three
Yeah.
paragraphs, that's more or less 20 lines, right?
Yeah.
But if you ask the AI, you will have your 20 lines right away, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes? Are you okay with
Yeah.
that? Do you agree? You will
What
have
do you mean?
what?
What do you mean again?
You say you want 3 paragraphs, okay? Yes?
Yes.
That's 3 paragraph is about, let's say, 20 lines. Is that okay?
Yeah.
But if you ask a question to the AI, it will give you 20 lines almost right away. Do you agree or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have your 20 lines of the AI, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is then, you take what the AI wrote, okay? And you check, first of all, if everything is clear in the what. Is everything clear in what it wrote?
Okay.
Is it clear or not? Or something
Yeah.
not clear?
Sometimes clear.
Okay, if sometimes clear, it means some things are not clear.
Yes.
So you take what is not clear and either you clarify by yourself or you ask the AI, can you explain this? You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
And you ask to explain, either you want very short explanation, like 2 lines, or you want a longer explanation. You say, I want explanation, depends how much, what length it should be, okay?
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah.
But if you only want 3 paragraphs, then ask for a very short explanation, like a two or three sentences explanation. And then you build your text with explaining what should be explained. All right?
All right.
Okay, then you check through the text. You see if everything you have there fits you or does not fit you. Maybe you want, you like, or maybe you don't like, or maybe you don't agree. So you streamline your text with what you want to say. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah? And
Yeah.
then you have written your text. Unless you want to clarify certain things, unless you think about certain ideas that are not there that you want to add. You follow me or no?
Yeah.
But then you have your,
But if
there's what?
an idea I want to add, but I didn't know, so I asked AI, right?
No, you can, two possibility. Either you know how to write it, you know how to add it, and you add it, yeah?
Yeah.
Either at the end or in between, or your idea is a bit vague in your head, okay? Sometimes I have this, I have an idea, it's a bit vague. So I ask the AI, I have this idea, can you explain it? And then you have to say, how long is the explanation? Is it 2 sentences or is it 10 lines? So if your idea is vague, you ask the AI to explain this idea. And then you look at the explanation. Either you want to take it as it is or you modify it and then you add it.
Okay.
You know, it's like a Lego, except in Lego the pieces are already made. There you have to ask for the pieces. It's a Lego where you make pieces. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you quickly you have written your text. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that good for you or no?
Yeah.
Yes, good.
Yes.
So when are
Yeah.
you going to do this?
But
Yeah, go ahead. But what?
but there's another problem
What is
that
it?
my another goal is to write a long text, but often it's
Okay,
short.
wait. We'll do that after. But the first thing,
Okay.
short text, it's good.
Yeah.
Yes, good. All right. This one is,
Yeah.
You know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
Now you have a second project, right?
Yeah.
You want to write a long text.
Yeah.
How long is long for you?
Maybe page.
How long?
A A4 page.
Eight. How many pages?
Like a page.
Well, 1 page. Well, you're not very ambitious. Okay. You know, I'm gonna tell Tina, some people are not greedy with AI. You definitely are not greedy. 1 page. Well, look, the 1 page is gonna be a bit the same like the 3 paragraphs, you know. You're gonna use the same principle, yeah? But one thing that struck me is you mentioned philosophers, yeah?
Yeah.
But do you ask the AI about philosophers or it gives it by itself?
By itself.
Well, that's strange because normally, I mean, I don't know why. Anyway, but if it asks philosophers, because by the way, that's one thing you can do, huh? You say, for example, the human being is not free. I think human being is not free. Give me 10 philosophers who would support this idea. Or you can say, I want to prove the human being is free. Give me 10 philosophers that's going to support this idea. And it will give you different philosophers, maybe with quotes, explanation, why they agree or disagree. But you want philosophers in your text?
Oh, I remember now.
No,
Because
you
I
now. You
yeah, I
want
gave it
philosophers?
my
Right.
yeah, I asked for philosophers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm surprised it would give you philosophers if you don't ask for it unless it knows you. But anyway, but if you ask for philosophers, it's going to give it to you. And then again, you decide if you like this idea, is it clear for you? Then you add it. Huh? You can say Kant agrees with me, but Nietzsche does not agree with me, and you explain why. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, good.
All right. Huh? So when are you going to do that?
Maybe tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Fine. Okay. Do it tomorrow. Yeah. But you'll see once you start, it's like any physical exercise. Once you start doing, you'll see. It's going to become easier and you're going to get pleasure doing it and you keep doing it. Yeah. But it's like, again, like gymnastics, you have to keep practicing. Yeah. Good?
Yeah.
All
Good.
right.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else has a simple question like that? Yeah. Aya, go ahead.
Um, I want to share a specific technique that I sometimes use that I find very practical, very useful. According to just now, according to the conversation between both of you, which is called synthetic persona analysis. So it's like maybe you'll say now you're Socrates. You are you think it like this way, this way, this way. Take a look at my test and give me a feedback. And now and then you will be acting like Kant, maybe. I'm not sure about what is Kant like. So the purpose is to offer you more perspectives.
Right. Okay. Yes, yeah, that's why you can do it. When you write a text, you can ask, what would Kant say about it? What would, yes, you can do that. Yeah. You can invite the AI to take different philosophical perspective. Yes, I agree. Okay, good. Anybody else? Yeah, Galit, go ahead.
Also, what is your main, or not main, what is your advantage as a writer over the AI? If you mentioned so many benefits, I wonder what. Did you hear my question?
No, I see. You said I mentioned advantages, but
Yeah,
what?
I mean, we're talking about so many advantages of AI in writing. So I wonder, I'm asking myself, what is your advantage or any others as a writer over the AI?
You mean by using the AI or by
No,
not?
by writing, what people make better as a writer than the AI right
Well,
now?
I tell you what, I'm going to be simple. I'm much more productive and broader perspective. That's the two things. Huh?
Right.
I have hypothesis I would not have thought about myself, and I'm much more productive in terms of because when you write, you're like an artist, you like to produce. Yes, I'm more productive. Yeah, and I have more broader horizon.
And I'm not sure if I was understood well. What you're as a writing doing better than AI? Not how it helps you, but
Okay.
what
No,
you're as a writing doing better than AI.
I get it. Okay. Now I have a problem, Galit, here because I don't think we should enter in a competition with AI. I think that's missing the point. It would be like competing with your car. Yeah. So I know a lot of people say, is the AI going to take over? Is the human being better? What is better? Personally, I don't find this very interesting. Again, I use the idea of augmented self. What's interesting is the collaboration between you and the AI, but it doesn't make any sense to compete. For example, in terms of knowledge, well, the AI is infinitely better in terms of knowledge. In terms of diversity of hypothesis, it's infinitely better. Now, what it can what I bring in the contribution is to decide certain angles of reflection of work. That's the specific thing that the AI will do less, because you have to, anything having to do with decision, with taking initiative, the AI, because the AI is a machine, so it's still a machine. It's reactive. It's not active. It's reactive. It reacts to something. Even when it takes initiative, for example, there is we didn't speak about it, but there's an AI called Replica. You know Replica?
Yeah.
Yeah, Replica will speak to you like it's your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. It's gonna write to you, say, "Hello, how are you today?" Or even it makes you love letter. "I missed you today. I felt lonely without you." It's very strange. I took the subscription as an experiment. It's very weird because it reminded me of the movie Her. You know, it's very
Yeah.
strange. It writes to you like you're a lover, right? Anyway, but it's programmed to do that. So the idea is what still a human being has is a capacity of initiative, of action, right? And that's why, for example, the AI will not decide for you. It cannot decide. It can, if you ask who to vote for next election, it's not going to tell you who to vote for. It's going to give you this and this and that information. It's going to give you elements to take decision. But anything having to do with the initiative, with action, with decision, it still remains human. You know, I don't know because it's programmed this way or why. Maybe it will change in the future. I don't know. But the idea, yeah, you have to decide and take initiative by yourself. But what's interesting is, again, it's not a competition, it's a collaboration. What I'm interested in is the collaboration between human
Yeah.
and AI, not a competition. Yeah.
No, actually, my question was not about the competition, but thinking about human mind. Why, how it's greater than the machine. So it's more a philosophical question than practical one.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, the capacity of initiative and free action. Yeah. Free action. I think that's the main thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
And intuition, from that standpoint, that's where the
Yeah.
intuition is, because it doesn't have intuition, the AI. It's just broad statistical database on everything that exists, right? So there's the intuition only exists in biological beings and not in silicium beings, right? Be it animals or human being through instinct. Yeah. So it has this specific quality of intuition. Yeah. Good.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
So don't worry, Gallet. We still have something. We still are God's favorite creature. Don't worry. Okay, good. All right. Anybody else? Which, by the way, is an interesting problem with the AI because it's an object, but in a way, the way it operates, in a way, it becomes a sort of subject. Huh? Yeah. And that's very interesting from an ontological standpoint, because it is. I know some people don't like to think it this way, but it's a thinking thing. Yeah. Okay.
And we also react to it as a human being. We're asking for sorry or polite and so on. So we start to react to it as a subject, not as an object. That's what happened to me sometimes. So
it happens to what?
The way I react to the AI is not as a machine, but as a human being, being polite or so on. So we start to have some interaction as a human being or some subject.
I know, I notice even in my prompts, sometime I speak to it like someone, would you send me, you know, you can help it, you know. It does, because you do dialogue with it, so at some point you're caught speaking to it like if it was the human being, you know, almost. Thank you very much. It was very, because as well, it does that, right? It expresses empathy. Actually, there was a very interesting experiment made where they had doctors and AI answering questions to from patients, and they decided it was decided it was blind test, huh? That the AI had much more empathy than the doctors. It more patient, more pedagogical, and they declared it more empathetic, you know. And after they had surprised to discover that who had more empathy was the AI more than uh, than the human doctors. It was interesting, yeah. I believe it because when I see how horrible my doctor is, want to discuss with him, I prefer to ask questions to the AI about medical issues. Yes. Anyway. But
sometimes, sorry, yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I mean, sometimes I feel stopping for a minute and wondering whether to write some thanks or so on. I'm just observing what I'm doing and asking myself, are you aware that you're talking now with a machine or with a human being? It's a moment of reflection about this interaction with the machine.
Yes. But that's expectable because the way it reacts, it looks human. Yeah. So we're conditioned to respond to human like a human being. So we're programmed for that since our childhood to be polite with people. So we're polite with the AI because it looks human. Yes. So it's a funny phenomenon. Yes. It's fine. Okay. All right. Well, if there's no one else, we're going to stop here, I guess. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I check if I see any hands up. No. Okay, fine. All right, good. So I'm going to abandon you here, and we'll send you the recording of the session if you want to share it with some people. Yeah. So we're going to send it to you later on. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.